Hello, my friends. Let's imagine that before you came down here on planet Earth, you were hanging out in some really lovely dimension where oneness, love, just flow was just a natural state. And then you heard the calling that planet Earth is going through a huge shift. She's actually taking birth or giving birth to a version of herself that has been, let's say, in hiding, covered with something that made her and everything on her planet believe that they were other than oneness, love. Somehow they were all deceived, somehow they were all confused, and they had forgotten who they were, including Gaia or Mother Earth. And now that she's gone through a big cycle where she has been about as far from oneness as can be, she's on her return now, and she's coming very close to actually giving birth to that truth of who she is, the true nature of who she is. And that includes everybody on the planet. That includes you and me. And what if it is true that we did come here specifically for this time to be part of that birthing process, to really help Gaia come back to her original state of love and oneness so that everybody here can experience that again, can remember that again, and kind of melt back into that again, into the remembrance of what has been always here and what has always been true. For me, when I was younger, I not like a child, probably maybe in my teens or somewhere, also when I was a child, but there was something that new in me that I came here to be in service of the divine. I was not a churchgoer. We never did anything religious, but it was just there somewhere. And then as I grew older, there was just this feeling in me that what I came here for was not here yet. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what to do with it, but there was that lingering in the back of my mind or somewhere in my heart where I just knew that it wasn't here yet. And there was a part of me that was wondering when it was going to be. So somehow inside, I started preparing for something, some big shift of events where I knew that it was going to be tough for a while. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, when, but I just had that feeling inside. So I started growing my food, not because of that, because it's something I love to do anyway, but there was something that I always thought it's probably a good idea to be able to take care of myself if something would happen. And but there was a lot of waiting in that, and wondering like when is it going to happen, and is it going to happen, and what is it that's going to happen? Because also part of me could see in the world that this couldn't continue. It's not sustainable. A planet cannot survive when she is being robbed and raped like that and totally disrespected. And everything that was going on in the world, in the corporate worlds, in the governments, I knew that this could not go on. So that's why part of me knew at some point something is going to happen. And then I started hearing more and more people talk about that, which was actually very interesting. And even, in my book that I wrote in, was it 2000? nine. I can't quite remember. I remember I wrote that it's like there's a new wave coming in, and the old wave is going out. And if we want to be part of that new wave that's coming in, we need to let go of the old wave and jump on the new and find our own wave in that new big wave so we can start surfing home in our own energy, in our own flow. I can't tell you how I knew that. There's a lot of things I don't know how I knew that. I wrote a book about self-love. I started calling myself a self-love mentor. I had never heard anybody talk about that before. That doesn't mean they weren't there, but when I wrote that book, I had never heard that before, but it was just there. So, from my own life experience, there has always been some kind of a knowing that I followed, but I couldn't get the confirmation from the outside back then. And it was, it made me doubt myself. And it's like, are you crazy? Where's this coming from? You can't prove it. So, of course, I was silent with it. I had a few people who were kind of in that same frequency, and we could talk about it. But it was not a lot back then. And I couldn't talk too much about it because people didn't quite know what it actually meant. And even in the spiritual circles, where I went to satsang, I went to a lot of these non-dual spiritual meetings and retreats, which were absolutely wonderful. But the whole thing about self-love, that was not something that anybody spoke about. So, what I'm trying to say is that I would imagine that you may have had something like that in your own life that was your experience that resonates with you. And it's probably still there, right? And if you haven't done anything with it because you didn't really know what to do with it, I know you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people like that. But there's a reason that we have this kind of intuitive knowing that we came here for something other than just, feeling lost in this world because we don't belong here. I don't know if anybody belongs here the way the world is, but of course, what we don't belong to is the false matrix overlay, which is what we have been living under, with Gaia, with Mother Earth, where we have not been able to see what is actually here. It's like our eyes are seeing through a veil. That means we cannot see what is really here. We can only see the veil, we can see the illusion, and you can't project an illusion outside of yourself because an illusion is not real. It's something that's confused in our minds, if I can say it that way. There's something that's not clear because we are seeing through a glass darkly, like you might have heard in the Bible. So there is something here that we have not been able to see through. We kept running into this thing because most people did. So there wasn't that kind of confirmation from the outside, which I think we all need many times in our lives. There is a lot more of it now, and that's really wonderful. But I want to see if I can inspire or encourage anybody who is listening to my channel to take this more seriously. It's kind of like, I talk a lot about the longing in the heart. And that's where we kind of know something is off there because we know inside, that it doesn't make sense. This is not how life is supposed to be. That this is not something God would create, such a mess. What kind of a God is that? But it's this overlay that we have been identified with and that we have believed more than anything. And then we kind of blame it on God, and God is just shining inside and out all the time. It's just that have not been able to see that or experience that or realize it. And it needs to be realized so it becomes real in our life. So it's not just a mental concept, because what good does that do, really, right? It's like, yeah, it's a good idea, but look at my life. So there's a lot to this whole waking up process. But let's come back to the longing, because somehow that whole longing thing has been coming to me for so long, definitely since I started my YouTube channel. But it was also there years ago. I used to blog about it and talk about it. And now it's just so obvious that what we feel in here, what we long for, is why we came here. There's more of a remembering of it now, and there are many of us. So I would say we need to support each other and learn how to follow this longing back to the future, if that makes sense. We need to follow this longing in here, back in here. And then because the future is here. So by being present with it here, we are in touch with what we experience as future in this dimension. And that basically means that the present moment that we're experiencing has that veil over it. And that's why it's hard for us to see anything beyond that. Invitation is always, when you're with me, whether it's as a client or in my groups or anything like that, the invitation is always to feel this longing, because this is who we are, but we need to turn towards it. And then when you start remembering, like, oh yeah, this makes a lot more sense. This is what I want. And then when you hear others say the same, then we collectively start remembering what is true, what we came here for. And it doesn't matter if you call yourself, I don't know, a light worker, a way shower, a star seed, if you're in touch with these other realms, with these higher beings, who are supposedly here helping us through this. That's an individual experience that I'm not going to say anything about. I think there's a lot of help here for sure, but our own individual experience is really what matters. So you may be in touch with some higher beings who are supporting you, and I may be too. We may know about it, we may not know about it. It's like there's no one way. We really have to find our own way, and that we find in here. And the more we stay in here, we start remembering, like, a loving planet where there's unity. We love each other. We care for each other. We do things from love, because, as I shared a little while ago, like when the veil or that false matrix, which is crumbling, when that is not blocking our view here, there really is only love. There's just love. The universe is love. And when we don't have that veil there, we will experience that. But we need to detach from the veil or the matrix. We need to make a conscious effort to not engage in it anymore. And the world, the way things are now, it's like it's spinning out of control, where we are being pulled out to find out what's going on now. And this is scary, and what's going to happen next. So the pull out is very, very strong right now. And that's why we need to make the pull in even stronger. And we do that by listening to this beautiful longing. This is real. This is what is on its way in its expression in this dimension. So please do your best. And it's not something you can just do with a snap of a finger. It's work. It's deep work. It's deep willingness. And it takes a lot of practice to detach from the matrix expression, from the false matrix that is our mind, that keeps lying to us. You're not good enough. You can't do it. Who do you think you are? La 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 la, all that stuff. That's all false matrix, and it has nothing to do with the divine, has nothing to do with reality. It's the veil, it's the matrix, and it is coming off. It's crumbling. And while it's doing that, as we have more access to our heart now, let's really make that our priority. What feels good? What do I really long for? Who do I want to be if I didn't let my mind push me down all the time? So it's not an easy shift from here to here, but it gets easier. The beginnings are always hard because we have given the matrix, it is our mind, we have given we have given our power to this matrix and let that run everything and let that keep us separated from who we truly are, from our divine connection, from our soul source. So coming back to the longing, we all long for something. Was it yesterday or the day before I talked about that there is a longing to find meaning in the world? Yes, of course. Of course. That's not wrong or bad. That's natural. So the longing for meaning, stay with the longing and feel like, I just want meaning. I want to find meaning. Stay there as often as you can. Make a little ritual every day or every hour. You can let your phone make a sound so you remember, like, oh, I'm longing for meaning. I'm longing for a loving world. I'm longing to be more loving. I'm longing for this, for that. But it is felt in your heart. It's not happening up here. So we need to come back and feel the longing, honor the longing. And then when you follow the longing inside, you will find the future that is ready to express itself as your present moment experience. There really is no future. That's another thing in the mind. But as long as we function through the mind, we can use these terms for understanding, for the mind to kind of get on board with us. So your future that you long for, right? Because when we long for something, it's because it's not here. It's something we think is in the future. And then we go out there trying to find it or create it. But the longing is exactly what you long for. The feeling of it is what you want. And the feeling of it is here. It's not out there. It's not in the future. It's here. And it's like a package that has everything in it that will make you happy and fulfilled. So why go anywhere else for what you long for, but where it actually is? So if you also feel this or have this sense that you came here for something meaningful, something valuable, something fulfilling, to make a difference, you did. You did. And you do. And this is the time, as far as I can see. It certainly is for me. This is the time for all of us to embrace that faint knowing and give ourselves to it. It's like you say, how can I make myself available for this longing? Because it's not you. It's not the little Pernilla who wants something. It's a deep longing, and it's coming from the divine as a feeling of what is already here. It's not a future thing. It's already here, and it's here. And we need to make ourselves available. I think these prayers of, let ourselves open up to receive, to be shown, to learn, to make ourselves available for it. That is, to me, is true prayer, when we open up as a vessel and allow the divine to fill us up and overflow. there's not a lot we need to do in that other than open up. Then, if there is any doing, it will be very obvious, it will be very natural, it will feel good. And little by little, your worries about how you're going to make it, how are you going to, how's this going to work, all the fears like letting go of the false matrix, they're going to fall away little by little. A lot has fallen away from me. That's why I can speak about it. There still are sometimes like fears that come up, usually very early in the morning. It's like, woo, it's right there. And so they are not all gone for me, but I have no interest in them. It's more like that. And the less interest you have in these, drama things and these, horrible suggestions, then you just starve them out just by lack of feeling them. And little by little, this that is true becomes much more real to you, much more appealing. And it's for me again, it's like I have so little interest in all the negativity. I can't have a conversation, about negativity. I can ask them if this is what they want, and what's important about it. But I can also say it's not really what feeds me. So I probably won't say much. It's just finding your way, what is true for you, and let that new energy live you by not giving your energy to the old world anymore. And this is how we can follow, what did I say? We can follow the longing into a new future. And that is my invitation. This coming Tuesday, April 1st, is my next online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing, Find Your Spiritual Calling. And that's exactly what I've been talking about today. You're very welcome to join. The link is in the comments below, and I would love to see you there. If you have any things you want to share or questions, or if you need some help with getting in touch with it, you'll see it's very simple. The mind thinks it's this very complicated thing, but it's just very simple to go there and really start honoring what is actually here. So I would love to see you there. And otherwise, I'll see you next time here. Have a great day.